God, you know when you walk into a room and you totally forget why you walked in here? Alright, yeah. I'm Electric Richard, and this is the news. Apple, eh? I've not had a go at them in a while. So let's have a little go at Apple. Starting with the whole debacle about iOS 6, draining lots of battery power. Now I know this is kind of oldish news, but it was a big deal because what happened really is people downloaded the new iOS and all of a sudden, lo and behold, their battery was draining very quickly. People complained on the Apple forums of handsets getting very, very hot. Too hot to touch. Stop. Isn't the first time this has happened, of course. Yeah, people on the Apple forums again put out a few little tips to avoid that. Basically, check some of the apps and some of the background programs there and see that they're not sending out information that they shouldn't be, or talking back to the servers when they don't need to be doing that. All that can be fixed. Otherwise known as location services, you should turn most of those off, it turns out. Yeah. But luckily, Apple fixed that with a new update, 6.1.1. Yeah, so everything's kind of back to normal. But people have memories and they aren't forgetting this. But the stock has plummeted, even plummeted this week, thanks to numerous things really. The main one being that Apple cut the amount of handsets it was going to build. The parts that it bought in for the iPhone 5 were less than forecast. So it looks like they're not going to do quite as well. And this has dipped their shares a little bit. They're still worth about $500 a share though, so I'm just done with that now. So they're no longer the richest company in the world. They're the second richest company in the world, so yeah. Maybe it's a Steve Jobs thing. Maybe now that he's gone, it's just downhill for Apple from here. He was the genius. He was the one that made Apple what Apple is. Without Apple, it's just a orange. No, that says bad things about orange, isn't it? To top it all off, this week a contributor for Forbes magazine, that's a business magazine in the States, said that Apple may no longer hit the top list of the coolest companies in the world. So yeah, add all that together, and that's the end of Apple. They're going downhill. Totally, that's totally the end of Apple. That's the end of Apple. Bye bye Apple. Okay, not quite the end, but yeah, maybe the beginning of the end, like Dorothy, the beginning of the Yellow Brick Road. So yeah. In further Apple news, Apple agreed to pay out nearly $100 million in settlements in a court thing that was happening. Yeah, $100 million. Now, as opposed to this being some kind of patent war, it's more of a parent war. Sorry. You see, what's been happening is parents give their kids their iPhone or their iPad to play, and what do the kids do? They just press buttons. They don't know what they're doing, they just press buttons, and they buy up loads of stuff for the games without realising they're totting up an enormous bill. So the parents got together, or some parents got together, and they sued Apple and they won. Or, actually that's not true, Apple gave a settlement, that's the point of the news now. And therefore, that's good news for the parents and sort of bad news for Apple. I say sort of bad news, it's kind of like the way that a newspaper has to pay a settlement to someone they did a kind of terrible, untrue story about. Once the settlement's sent out, really the paper haven't lost money. They're very cash rich. Apple are very cash rich, is what I'm trying to say. So $100 million is like sneezing for them. It's like pocket change. What do they care? And anyway, the $100 million are going to be paid out in things like store cards, you know, like iTunes vouchers and stuff. So really, I mean, Apple have won on this one, I suppose. Still, it will mean some new rules on the old iTunes agreement thing there to make sure that the kids don't do that. Somehow there'll be a barrier in place. Perhaps there should be a clause in there saying adults, parents, pay more attention to what your kids do. Don't just give them a gadget and let them play with it willy-nilly. Yeah? Don't be daft. From Apple to Sony, specifically the PlayStation 4. Yeah, like the link there, it's good, isn't it? It was a terrible link. Yes, because the PS4 is hot on everyone's lips, new information comes trickling out. The first bit of news is this. It's the news that all PS4 games will be available digitally. All of them. Only some will be available on disc. Now this is quite, well, it's precedented, it's been done before. Basically they're adopting kind of the PC model, like Steam and so on, so you can go online and just download games that way. And I'm assuming that the PS4 will continue to use Blu-ray, so Blu-ray's current maximum capacity is like, what, 50, maybe 100 gig? I can't imagine downloading a game that large. That would take a very, very long time. Anyway, some bloke from Sony, he turned around and he said to The Guardian, of all places, as more and more services and content become available digitally, we'll have more of an option to create attractive packages, like when your parents buy presents for you at Christmas. So, hypothetically, we can look at different models, like a cable TV company would, he said. We could have a gold, silver, or platinum membership to really rip off the customer. Okay, didn't say that last bit, I put that bit in. He concluded by saying, with one subscription, you have access to thousands of games. That's our dream. My dream is to have one room dedicated to all consoles that ever lived and ever existed. But, you know, each to their own. Each to their own. The next bit of PS4 news is a hot topic. You see, it's about second-hand games. Now, originally, Eurogamer, that's our website, were told by Sony, that's a company, that the PS4 will not lock out second-hand games. This is in slight contradiction to the rumour flying around just before the PS4's launch that the PS4 would lock out second-hand games, and the rumour is also saying that the Xbox 720 will do the same. Now, if this Sony exec's to be believed, and what Eurogamer reported, it looks like Sony are doing the right thing and not making the PS4 lock out second-hand games, yes. Or possibly they will. You see, what Sony have subsequently said, nationally, not just to one outlet, they said, hang on, I've got it written down right here, they're going to do the right thing by developers and consumers alike. So, to do the right thing by consumers and developers, that's an odd thing to say. The reason being that consumers and developers want different things from second-hand games. Developers want money from second-hand games, and users, i.e. people like you and I, just want to sell second-hand games, you know, so... You know, we just want to be able to do that freely without having to worry about it, like selling a DVD to your mates or something like that. It's not a big deal, so... Sony, I recommend, if you can, to introduce some kind of license, perhaps, where you pay a nominal fee and then you can have access to a certain amount of second-hand games on your console. That's a nice way. That money can then be distributed amongst yourselves and the developers. So yeah, maybe that's a way forward. And that's the news for this week. I've been Electric Richard, always have been, always shall be. Please, please, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Give me a tweet and leave some comments. Let me know what you think about all these PS4 facts that are now flying around, no longer rumours. And Apple, is this the end for Apple? Do you think it's the end for Apple? Do you like Apple? Do you like apple pie or crumble? Which one's your favourite? I prefer crumble. But until next time,